Let me ask you something simple. Have you noticed how sharp your mind feels at 9 a.m., but by 7 p.m., it's like someone pulled the plug? You're not sick, you're not stressed, but the words get slower. The focus fades. You lose track of why you walked into the room. Now here's what might surprise you. By age 65, nearly 1 in 2 adults reports noticeable brain fog in the evening. That's not occasional forgetfulness. That's a real, measurable shift in how the brain processes information confirmed in cognitive aging studies from the past decade. But what's even more surprising is where the solution might be hiding. In Okinawa, Japan, one of the places with the highest number of mentally sharp elders over 80, this kind of decline is far less common. And while people often credit genetics or lifestyle, there's one habit that shows up again and again. They eat beans at night. Not pills, not nootropics, not expensive extracts from a lab. Just a simple, warm bowl of legumes served with dinner or as a late-night dish used for generations to cool the body, feed the brain, and prepare the mind for deep, restorative sleep. Now, I'm not saying this is a magic fix, but as someone who's treated thousands of aging patients, I've learned to look closely at what works, quietly, consistently, and over time. And this works. Because while your brain can't always run like it did at 30, it can absolutely run better than it does today if you give it the right fuel. And that fuel doesn't come from coffee, or sugar, or sheer willpower. It comes from something far more ancient, far more nourishing, and far more ignored. So in today's video, I'll show you 3 traditional bean-based dishes that not only stabilize brain energy after dark, but may also reduce overnight inflammation and improve how clearly you think when you wake up. If you've been struggling with mental fatigue in the evenings, this may be the change your brain's been waiting for. And hey, if you're new here, I'd love to have you stick around. Tap subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Let's get into it. When I talk about soybeans, I am not talking about trends or modern health food labels. I am talking about a food that has quietly supported aging brains for centuries. Here is what matters most for your brain as you get older. Your neurons do not fail overnight. They lose energy stability, chemical balance, and repair signals little by little. Soybeans directly address all 3. Soybeans are rich in complete plant protein, which means they provide every essential amino acid your brain needs to rebuild neurotransmitters. One of the most important is tryptophan. This amino acid helps your brain produce serotonin in the evening, which later converts into melatonin during sleep. That matters, because deep sleep is when brain repair actually happens. A 2021 study published in the Journal of Nutrition showed that older adults who consumed soy-based protein in the evening had significantly improved overnight cognitive recovery and next morning attention scores compared to those eating refined carbohydrates. Soybeans also contain isoflavones, natural compounds that cross the blood-brain barrier. These compounds reduce low-grade neuroinflammation, the kind that does not hurt but slowly clouds thinking. In a 2019 clinical review in Nutrients, researchers found that isoflavones lowered inflammatory markers in the hippocampus, the memory center of the brain, especially in adults over 60. Now, let me explain this simply. Inflammation in the aging brain acts like static on a radio. The signal is still there, but it is noisy and hard to focus. Soybeans help quiet that static, not by stimulation, but by stabilization. There is also the energy side. Your brain relies heavily on glucose, but it cannot handle spikes well anymore. Soybeans slow glucose release and improve insulin sensitivity in brain cells. A 2020 study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience showed better cerebral energy metabolism in seniors consuming legumes regularly. One short story stays with me. A retired teacher in her early 70s once told me that after dinner her mind felt scattered and restless. She began eating a small bowl of warm soybeans in the evening. Within 2 weeks, she said her thoughts felt calmer, and reading before bed became possible again. Here is how to use soybeans correctly. In the evening, keep it simple. Cooked soybeans, soft and warm. Half a cup is enough. Avoid sugar. Avoid frying. Soups, stews, or lightly seasoned beans work best. Eat them about 1 to 2 hours before bed, so your brain has time to use the nutrients during sleep. This is not about forcing your brain to perform. It is about giving it the raw materials it still knows how to use. And that is where real recovery begins. If soybeans bring stability to the aging brain, then green beans bring calm. What most people don't realize is that low-grade neuroinflammation is one of the most common drivers of brain fog in older adults. It does not show up on scans, it doesn't cause pain, but it quietly interferes with memory, focus, and processing speed. Green beans, especially when steamed or lightly boiled, contain specific antioxidants that directly target this problem. The most powerful among them is vitamin K1, along with lutein and a group of compounds known as flavonols. In 2020, a study published in Brain Behavior and Immunity found that older adults with higher dietary intake of vitamin K1 had significantly lower levels of microglial activation in the brain. Microglia are the immune cells of the brain. When overactive, they can create constant, low-level inflammation, even without infection or injury. Green beans help regulate that response. But it's not just about inflammation. Green beans are naturally low in sugar and high in soluble fiber, which plays a crucial role in stabilizing blood glucose throughout the night. When your blood sugar swings too high or too low during sleep, the brain responds with stress signals. That's part of why some people wake up exhausted, even after 7 or 8 hours in bed. According to a 2018 clinical trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, adults over 60 who consumed a high-fiber dinner showed improved sleep efficiency and decreased nocturnal cortisol levels compared to those who ate fast-digesting starches. And yes, green beans were one of the key vegetables used in the study. Another benefit lies in their mineral profile. Green beans contain magnesium, potassium, and folate, all vital for maintaining the brain's electrical balance. Magnesium in particular supports the function of NMDA receptors, which are essential for memory formation and synaptic plasticity. A 2017 study in Nutrients linked higher dietary magnesium intake with improved cognitive performance and reduced risk of mild cognitive impairment in older populations. Now, let's connect the dots. You've got inflammation quietly disrupting mental clarity. You've got blood sugar swings creating overnight chaos. And you've got fragile neurotransmitter systems trying to adapt. Green beans address all three, gently, naturally, without overstimulation. What I find most powerful is how quickly they integrate into daily life. You don't need pills. You don't need powders. You just need a few handfuls of these humble beans, steamed or gently cooked, served alongside your evening meal. No added sugar, no overcooking. Just enough to calm the system and feed the brain what it has been missing. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. And green beans are one of the easiest, most underrated ways to do just that. There's a reason traditional cultures valued red beans not just as food, but as medicine. For the aging brain, red beans offer a function that is often overlooked, but absolutely essential: detoxification during sleep. Most people think of detox as something related to the liver or the gut. But your brain has its own cleanup system called the glymphatic system. It becomes fully active during deep sleep, washing away damaged proteins, waste products, and oxidative debris that build up over the day. Here's the problem. As we age, the glymphatic flow slows down. That means more waste stays in the brain overnight. And over time, that waste doesn't just sit. It interferes with synaptic communication and contributes to morning confusion, slower recall, and that foggy mental drag you feel before breakfast. Red beans are rich in polyphenols, especially proanthocyanidins and anthocyanins. These natural compounds support brain detox in two critical ways. First, they improve cerebral blood flow, which powers the glymphatic system to flush out toxins. A 2021 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that daily consumption of red beans significantly improved cerebrovascular elasticity and oxygenation in adults over 65 within 4 weeks. Second, they increase the production of glutathione, your brain's master antioxidant. Glutathione helps neutralize free radicals and protect the brain from oxidative damage that accumulates during the day. In 2019, researchers at the University of Milan published findings in Nutrients showing that cooked adzuki beans, a common form of red bean, boosted endogenous glutathione levels and reduced neural oxidative stress markers by 32% in older test subjects. There's also the fiber content. Red beans are extremely high in resistant starch, which acts as a prebiotic. That means it feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which in turn produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that support the gut-brain axis and reduce inflammation at the source. And unlike many sugary evening snacks, red beans don't spike insulin. They digest slowly, providing a gentle, stable release of energy throughout the night. One of my patients, a 4-year-old retired welder, once told me, "I started adding red bean soup twice a week before bed. It's the first time in years I've woken up clear-headed without reaching for coffee." So how should you use them? Simplicity works best. A small bowl of red bean soup, unsweetened or gently simmered red beans with a pinch of sea salt. No added sugar, no milk, just the beans and water. Eat them 1 to 2 hours before bed, when your system is winding down. This is not about flavor trends or reinventing your diet. It's about restoring something your body still understands. A rhythm, a fuel, a gentle nudge toward repair. Because even at 70 or 80, the brain still has the blueprint for clarity. You just have to stop feeding it chaos and start feeding it what it was built to run on. Now that you understand what these 3 beans can do for your brain, let's make this practical. Because the truth is, knowledge doesn't change anything. Routine does. And when it comes to brain health at night, consistency beats intensity every time. You don't need to eat all 3 beans every evening. You don't need fancy recipes. And you certainly don't need to spend hours in the kitchen. You just need to build a rhythm. Something small. Something quiet. Something your brain can count on. Here's how to get started. Choose 1 bean per night. That's it. Rotate them across the week. If your digestion is sensitive, start with a half portion and build up slowly. Remember, the goal is not to feel full. It's to give your brain access to steady, nourishing fuel before sleep. Timing matters. The ideal time is 1 to 2 hours before bed. That gives your body enough time to digest, absorb, and begin using the nutrients during your sleep cycle. Avoid pairing the beans with meat, sugar, or heavy oils. These slow down absorption and may interfere with overnight detox. Here's a sample week. Monday, steamed soybeans with a pinch of sea salt. Wednesday, light green bean soup. No broth, cubes, or MSG. Friday, red bean porridge, unsweetened, with just water and a dash of cinnamon. If you don't cook often, you can use frozen or canned beans, but rinse them well to reduce sodium and additives. Boil gently or steam. Avoid microwaving with plastic containers. What about flavor? Let your palate adjust. Beans have a mild natural sweetness when prepared simply. You'll start to appreciate that softness. Many patients have told me that after 2 weeks, they actually look forward to that bowl of calm before bed. You can also combine beans with calming herbs like lemongrass, ginger, or turmeric, but only in small amounts. Don't complicate it. And here's one more tip. Slow down when you eat. Don't rush through your evening bean bowl in front of the TV. Take a few minutes. Let your body recognize the rhythm. This signals your nervous system to settle. And it's one of the easiest ways to activate the brain's rest repair mode. If you do this just 3 nights a week and stick to it for 3 weeks, you'll begin to notice the difference not just in how you sleep, but in how clearly you think when you wake up. Because this isn't about adding another chore to your day. It's about giving your brain the one thing it's been missing. A steady signal, A nourishing cue. A reminder that even as the world winds down, your mind can still light up. Somewhere along the way, we were told that brain fog is normal, that slowing down at night is just part of getting older, that forgetfulness, confusion, and that heavy, dull feeling in the evening are simply things we have to accept. But that's not the full story, because your brain, even at 65, 70, 80, still responds to rhythm, still recognizes nourishment, still repairs when given the chance. And that chance often starts with something simple. Not another pill, not another supplement, but a bowl of warm food, something your grandparents ate, something your ancestors trusted. Beans. Soybeans to stabilize the mind. Green beans to soothe inflammation. Red beans to support deep overnight detox. This isn't theory. It's biology. It's chemistry. It's tradition. And for many people, it's the one habit that reconnects them with clarity, without stimulation, without stress, without side effects. Because here's what I've learned in 30 years of working with older adults. Healing doesn't begin with effort. It begins with belief. The belief that you are not too far gone, that your brain is not broken, that small steps still matter even now. If you've stayed with me until this point, I want to thank you. You didn't just watch a video. You listened. You stayed open. And that alone tells me something important. You're ready. So tonight, pick one bean. Just one. Warm it. Eat slowly. Not because you're chasing a miracle, but because your brain still deserves the chance to feel sharp, calm, and alive. If this video gave you something to think about or something to try, go ahead and hit like, share it with someone who might need it, and leave a comment telling me where you're starting from. And if you haven't already, tap subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this journey isn't about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming clarity, one evening at a time.